About a year ago, I started working on a game, inspired by the Grand Theft Auto series. The main idea of this game was changed a lot at the start, originally starting off as a GTA-like game set on a group of alien planets. Eventually, it got changed into what I have today. The first thing I developed was the car system. Here is one of the first tests of my custom car physics, where I used joints to hook the wheels to the car. Those big metal poles were supposed to act as springs that you find in a car suspension. I did all of this because I did not want to use Unity's wheel component system, as I found it quite confusing and finicky. As the video shows, the system I made was not a very good way of doing things. What I ended up doing is watching this video by Toyful Games, where they explained how they made their car physics for their game. So I got the main bits of code from that video and I hooked it up to my car, modifying things so it now works with how I set up my car. However, the way I implemented the system wasn't perfect, so over time I tweaked parts of the car script so it functions closer to how I wanted cars to handle in my game.
No heroics before I go home. Give me what's in the register. Okay.
A feature I liked in GTA 5 is that you had the ability to rob random convenience stores you come across. So I decided to make my own version of this. As you can see, the player is now robbing a convenience store, holding some Slender Man looking guy at gunpoint. And now, the player just shot the guy. So here is what my first attempt at making ragdolls was like. Anyway, this was also my first attempt at making a wanted level system. As you can see, the police spawned when the player robbed the shop. They also try to chase you in their cars. Another thing I added at this point of development is the ability for you to paint your car. When you entered the garage, a menu would show up, showing you all the different colours that you could paint your car. A bit later in development, you can see that I've added a new car and also extended the map. This car is based off of the Nissan R33 Skyline, and the place that this game is set in is the Western Australian city of Perth. Another car I added is a generic looking SUV. The game now has a main menu screen. It also has the placeholder name, Big Robbery Car, which was totally not stolen from any game whatsoever. After a couple months of development, finally the player is no longer a bean. I also added a very basic traffic system. On the road there is a bunch of nodes represented by these blue circles, and each of these nodes are connected to one or more other nodes represented by the green arrows. So when an NPC car spawns, it spawns on a node and travels to its connected node. Now when there's two nodes it can go to, it randomly selects between one of them. So in this example, the NPC car chose the top one, so it navigates to the top node. One of my favourite parts of GTA 5 are the several heists that you can participate in, so I decided to add my own to my game. This heist was very simple. All you had to do was attach a sticky bomb to this big metal door, blow the door open and collect the cash inside. I also updated the police cars so they were more similar to police cars in real life Perth. The player now has animations. The animations were a bit janky though, because I solely used inverse kinematics to animate the limbs. In a nutshell, inverse kinematics works by automatically adjusting the player's bones to point at targets I set in the animation. The downside of this way of doing things was that I was unable to reliably change elbow and knee rotations as they were being set automatically, causing a flailing motion in the arms while running. Recently, I fixed this by toggling inverse kinematics on specific parts of the skeleton when needed. For example, I would toggle IK for the arms when the player is holding a weapon. I made a very simple mission system, which I'm actually improving on right now. The new mission system will probably be featured in a future video. This prototype mission consists of the player starting at their house, driving to the convenience store, and then driving back to their house. Around this time, I also added the gun dealer, which could sell you weapons like pistols, assault rifles, and sticky bombs. The game has finally rebranded, and now it's called The Larcenist. When you pressed play, it took a while to load, so I decided to make a loading screen, inspired by the GTA 5 loading screen. Firstly, I scrapped all of the old car models, and I started to model new cars for the game. I did this because I felt like I could model better quality cars than I was able to when I first started the game. The new cars I added are based off of the Ford Mustang and the Toyota Hilux. In the future, I will remodel these cars, as recently I found a way better way of modeling cars that I will share in a future video. I've updated the human model, the animations which I've talked about earlier, and I've also made the NPC AI system more easy to use. I also added a weapon wheel. Now, when you shoot an NPC, you get the cops. Now this cop behind the glass is shooting the player. If the player gets shot too many times, they die. I've also updated the car physics to try and make it more realistic. A big problem with it, however, is the fact that it's way too drifty. I have fixed this though, and I will show the results in a future video. You can also see that cops now spawn on road points when you have the police on you, when before they used to just spawn anywhere. If you stop committing crimes and the police haven't caught you yet, they will go into search mode. Search mode makes police spawn in regular traffic and not follow the player until they see them, or until they have been in search mode for too long and they give up.